All right, testing. 1, 2, 3. Cool. Alrighty, welcome to our live stream tonight. So if you have any questions for me, just be sure to ask on the YouTube live chat box over there on the video. So yeah, I'll be answering questions in the order that they're asked, and in the meantime, I'll be just putting something in the background so that the screen doesn't look all too boring. But basically, yeah, just ask your question in the chat box and I'll be sure to answer whatever I can. Alright, so since there are no questions just yet, what I'm going to do is just start off by explaining some things about UT Austin. So, let's see. I believe today there was some discussion about which laptop you should use for each school. So, as far as I know, there's not really an enforced laptop policy for most majors. There are a few exceptions, but for the most part, you get to pick whatever laptop you'd like, whether that be an Apple or, an Apple laptop or a Windows laptop. Now, I don't think Chromebooks are going to be the most efficient because some software that you might be required to use for your class won't be able to be used on the Chromebook. But this is becoming less and less of an issue, so just know that if you're still wanting to buy a Chromebook, it's still going to be a bit of a gamble, but overall you can basically use whatever computer you want. Now, recommendations as to what kind of laptop you might want to use for which major. You want to check first on your major's website. But I will say that if you are an engineer or for your business, it probably might be better for you to use Windows. Now, if you're not too keen on using Windows, I know at least for business, the common practice is for people who have Macs to basically download Parallels or VMware and basically install virtual Windows on their Mac. Another option would be to do boot camp. That's definitely allowed. Hello, So there aren't really any questions right now, so I'm just, you know, giving a general overview of what it might be like to be a UT student. But please start asking questions so I can, you know, definitely respond to that, because I don't want to, yeah. Would a desktop and a Chromebook be a good combination? If you set up remote access to your desktop via a Chromebook, I think that'd be a great combination. Like, let's say if you're a CS major, you'd probably be using Linux a lot, because a lot of tools, well, first off, the lab machines use Linux. And so, you know, since they use Linux, you know, if it's because it's a CS department, right? And so if you want to be compatible with that, go ahead, but, you know, feel free to use Windows or Mac. I've had no problem using my Mac as a CS major. Do I know anything about engineering honors acceptances? Engineering honors is one of those honors programs that I don't know much about, and so I'm not too sure when they might come out. If I can remember correctly, I believe they'll come out sometime in February, because, well, it could be in January as well, but I'm saying the latest they'll come out is probably February. Honors acceptances usually will come out before the March 1st deadline, and although they come out at different timelines as regular admissions, it's still going to come out around that time period. Yeah. Chromebooks can't RDP. There's a thing called Chrome Remote Desktop. I'm not sure how effective it is, but it definitely exists. Oh yeah, perfect. Oh, how fast is the internet at UT Austin? That's a really good question. So actually the internet at UT Austin is very fast, even in the dorms. You know, I've had no trouble at all managing 100 megabits per second. So that's pretty average. Now if you're talking about like a full lecture hall, you might have some issues with that. But if you're like wired up in your dorm and it's not a peak season or like a peak time to use the internet, then 100 megabits per second should not be an issue at all. And you don't have to pay to, you know, speed up your internet. The philosophy that UT's IT department has is, you know, we want you to get off the network as soon as possible so we can start serving more people. And honestly, that's a really good philosophy to have, and I agree with it. Oh, sorry, megabits per second, 100 megabits per second. Yeah. So what, 8 megabytes per second? Something like that. It's 5 times faster than your Wi-Fi? Oh, for sure, yeah. It's definitely much faster than conventional, you know, home fixed Wi-Fi. Well, unless you have gigabit, then you're lucky. I mean, it's not gigabit, but I think 100 megabits per second for a student is pretty reasonable. And UT Austin used to have data cap limits, but they've since gone away. Like, as soon as I entered UT, they actually eliminated data caps on the Wi-Fi network. So you're free to use as much as you want, as long as you don't use an obscenely high amount. Now, anyway, I do invite people to please leave some questions so I can answer them. Can I talk about Turing admissions and what Dr. Lin looks in for students? Oh, that's a really good question. I have to be careful what I say because I'm still in Turing. I don't want to get kicked out. But that's a really good question. So, I think what I should start off with by saying is the best way to, you know, deliver a good impression to the fact that you should be in Turing is in your obviously you have your extracurriculars and your and you should fill out an expanded resume, but I think the most important part would be your Turing essay, and that basically gets to explain to Dr. Lin and the Turing admissions committee why you should be in Turing. I spent a good time amount on that, good amount of time on that, and I think that actually really paid off because it's all about how you present yourself, I think. Although if you don't present yourself too well, and Dr. Lin can figure it out for you, I guess you'll get in, but you don't want to risk that, right? So, like any specific factors that he looks for, you know, Dr. Lin is Dr. Lin, and I think one of the unique qualities about this program, especially its admissions, is that it's basically up to Dr. Lin to decide whether you get to get in or not, right? He looks over every single application, believe it or not. He doesn't set a GPA cutoff or an SAT cutoff or anything like that. So he legitimately reads your application, and here's what I've heard. What he'll do is he'll highlight the unique parts of your application. Like, for instance, did you intern at a company? Do you have experience with artificial intelligence? You know, do you run your own company? That's my case. You know, what makes you a really, you know, qualified computer science student? And he'll highlight that basically in your application. He'll make some notes about you, and I think he also takes into account, like, you know, where you're from, because he doesn't want everyone to come from the same high school. That'd be a little boring. And so, you know, he tries to diversify it up a little bit. And yeah, after that, he makes the decisions on who to admit. Now, the thing is, at the end of the day, no one is Dr. Lin except Dr. Lin. So no one is absolutely sure except for him. But that's basically the impression that I've got. And, you know, I think I should probably say, you know, don't cheat the system, be honest, and yeah, I'll end by saying, you know, the advice I'm giving you is just to let you know, like, you know, probably how to deliver, how to properly deliver who you are to Dr. Lin. How are the gym facilities at UT, and would I be able to eat a lot of food there on the meal plan? Good question. So the gym facilities at UT, let's see. They're pretty good, especially if you're talking about like Greg Gym. There's a lot of stuff in Greg Gym. There's like a pool, you know, there's racquetball, there's weights in both Greg Gym and I think also the Rec Sports Center. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's basketball. Like indoor basketball. I think there might be outdoor basketball, but I'm not too sure. You know, there's a running track around the basketball courts, etc. So I think it's a pretty good, you know, deal to go to UT and use the gym facilities. They're pretty nice. But the thing is, they tend to get busy, and so if you show up at like a busy time of day, there's going to be a lot of people in there, and you're not going to really get your workout done very well if people are, you know, using your workout equipment. So some people go to the Rec Sports Center instead, but I think there are complaints that the equipment there is not as good as Greg Gym. I think, let's see, I think the best time to go for the gym would be in the morning. Yeah. So if you're able to wake up at like 6 a.m. to go to the gym, that'd be a good time to go to the gym. Okay, next question. Oh, sorry, I should continue the next part of that question. How would you be able to eat a lot of food on the meal plan? Oh, if you're thinking of bulking, the answer is yes. You can definitely bulk by going to the dining halls and eating a lot of food. So you get about $1,800 in dine-in dollars for the entire, you know, school year, and you basically get $6-7 per day to spend. And so how the dining halls work, are that you pay $4.60 for lunch and $5 for dinner. And there's no breakfast at the dining halls, so you have to take care of that yourself by like making yourself some oatmeal or something like that. you know, if you don't eat at the dining halls every single day for both meals, I think you're going to be fine. You're going to have to spend some other money for food. You can't just use all the $1,800 unless you want to eat 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day. But yeah. But at the dining halls, I'm not going to promise you the food's great. In fact, it's not that good. But you can get as much as you want in the buffets. It's a buffet-style dining hall, right? And so there's J2 and Kinsolving. JCL kind of looks like a buffet, but it's actually a la carte. So I wouldn't recommend going to JCL unless you have to, because you know you can go upstairs to J2 and get some good food. And there's quite a lot of variety of selection of food every single day. So all in all, good thing. I think it's really good for you to go to the dining halls and eat. J2 is in Jester, and Kinsolving is in Kinsolving. So let me check some more questions. Would you recommend living in a dorm or apartment freshman year? Let's see. I'd recommend, if you want to live, if you want to make friends, you should live in a dorm. If you want to live in luxury, try getting into a good apartment like Callaway. But I don't recommend, you know, living off campus personally, because you're gonna miss out on a lot of connections. And living on campus just lets you stay way closer to everything that's going on. I think it's just a much better deal, in my opinion, to stay on campus. I know it's a little expensive, but like, I think it's worth it just for making friends. Now after the first year, after you've made all your friends, I don't think there's a point in staying on campus anymore, unless you're not able to find other alternative housing arrangements, or if you just prefer to live on campus for the convenience. And so after that, I'd recommend living off campus, and that's what I'm doing. Okay, next question. I don't know what DCI is. Let's see. There's good eating options. Yeah, around UT there's a lot of great eating options. Quote, it is a liberal school, so I imagine there's a lot of vegan and healthy options. I don't really necessarily endorse any such statement, especially anything that gets political. But there are no, you know, vegan cafeterias, and that's a little unfortunate, because I went to UNT and they had a vegan cafeteria there, and that was really nice, but that doesn't really exist here in let me see, is this car stuck under me? Yeah, this car stuck under me. Oops. So there's not really a vegan cafeteria on UT's campus. I'm sure there's vegan and vegetarian options, but yeah, I really wouldn't go associating with that with any like political affiliations per se. High calorie meat eateries. Yes, you'll be able to find high calorie options at UT, and especially at the buffets. I don't see what's wrong with. I don't see the issue. You know, if you want to bulk, that's easy, because freshman 15 is a thing. I think the dining halls say like, oh, freshman 15 is a myth. Well, not if you look at all the food and go, ooh, food, and you eat a lot, then it's not a myth. There's a lot of great options for dining around UT Austin, so I definitely recommend checking those out. Question, how do you make friends? Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, I know it might sound like a troll question, but I should probably address this. So in college, you know, you're like, wow, I'm here, what do I do? How to make friends? Well, you're probably going to make a lot of friends, either through people who you know who've come to UT, that's existing friends, or I think the most significant way to make friends is through classes, because you're going to be spending the time with them in lecture. You know, you might want to work together on studying for the tests, the quizzes, etc. And you know, there's no better way to do that than with your fellow classmates. And inevitably, you know, as you bond over the misery of your classes, you're going to become friends. That's just how it works. You're going to meet up, you know, at the PCL or somewhere and just study. By the way, PCL's the library. So, yeah, I think the best way to making friends, and it'll happen inevitably, is through your classes. Now, a lot of people also get placed in what are called first-year interest groups, or FIGs, and those are also good ways to make friends, especially if you share common interests with people in your FIG. But you know, I don't know. There's so many ways to make friends in college. I'm just telling you like a few ways. Some other ways you can make friends is go to parties, and in college, parties just means drinking alcohol. So yeah, it's illegal, but you know, people do it all the time, unfortunately. So whatever. It's just how college works. And that's, you know, if you're into parties, then you can go there and make friends. Let me see. Do you know if anyone has been accepted to college education? No, I haven't heard of anyone accepted yet, but I'm pretty sure they've already sent out acceptances. I just don't really hear of the College of Education very often at UT, even as a current student. So, you know, the lack of information on that should not be too surprising. But it's one of our relatively easier colleges to get into. It's on the level of our College of Liberal Arts, so yeah. You're assuming that college classes are different than high school in terms of meeting people in class. Yeah, like you walk into lecture, if you're 5 minutes early, you can just reach over and, you know, shake hands and stuff. So, yeah. Is it possible to do a FIG if you come in with dual credit that gets you out of the common freshman courses? Oh, yeah, that's a really good question. Yes, that's most certainly possible. Every freshman gets placed in a FIG. And the beauty of the FIG is, although you're basically required to be in one, you don't have to go to the FIG meetings. So you can be in a FIG and just not show up. They're not going to do anything about it. So that's totally okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I misread someone's question. Let me see. Where was the question? Any friends in Plan 2? How do they like it? I didn't misread it. I read it and then I skipped over it. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, so I do have a few friends in Plan 2, and I think they like it so far, and I always see them doing a lot of reading. But it's good. You know, the kind of people who are in Plan 2 is the kind of people who you'd want to have an intellectual conversation with. So that's definitely the vibe that goes on there. There's a joke that Plan 2 majors drink LaCroix all the time. Don't know why, but okay. So yeah, overall Plan 2 is full of people who are, I say full of people, that sounds a little, okay, that might sound a little bad, but no, I meant this in a nice way. It's full of people who are, you know, very intellectually engaged and passionate, and from what I remember about Plan 2 is you basically take these humanities courses, interdisciplinary courses, and at first you start off with these, like, you know, seminars that basically are your UGSs, I think, yeah. And, you know, these are, you know, small classes led by professors that really lets you get a, you know, good liberal arts education like you would from an Ivy League or something like that. Yeah, LaCroix, the LaCroix meme is definitely very real. If you haven't already, I'd recommend you join UT Long Memes. It's a group on Facebook. It's basically our de facto UT meme group. It's like UC Berkeley memes for edgy teens, except for UT, and it's not that edgy. So yeah, but you'll be able to see a lot of LaCroix in Plan 2 memes on there. I'm not too sure how real the LaCroix meme is, but I don't know, it just became a thing over the summer. And yeah. Alright, let me see if there's any more comments. So, to get accepted, I just have to drink the entire case sitting in my closet. No, actually, if you want me to actually say how you get accepted, I think the main factor is your Plan 2 essay. You have to show some intellectual vitality in there. And so, you know, you want to sound like you're a Plan 2 major. If you just talk, if you answer the question or the prompt in a very boring way, you're probably not going to get in. If you answer it in a unique way, that's, you know, if you were answering this prompt as a conversation, and like, and you were talking to an English professor, and they were legitimately pleased with you, or not even an English professor, like an English teacher, and they were like, "Ooh, this is a great conversation," then that's probably the kind of stuff you want to write for your Plan 2 essay, if I'm going to be honest. Now, I didn't apply to Plan 2, but from the vibe I get from its students, that's probably what you're aiming for. Looks like you believe that. Oops. Oh shoot. Oh no, I have to start over. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Our time is 11:23. Perfect. Arizona and LaCroix, you believe they were alcoholic. Okay, well, I guess the benefit to that is you could have pretended to drink something alcoholic at a party that you thought was alcoholic but isn't? Oh, come on. You really had to damage me now. I was changing lanes properly. Anyway. Oh, I guess I should say, if you're going to a party and you don't want to drink alcohol, first off, check, you know, who's running the party, and second, make sure that the, you know, people who are running the party are chill with you, you know, not drinking alcohol, because that's totally like a legitimate decision to make. You should never be peer pressured into drinking alcohol in a college party. The easiest way to not be peer pressured is just to not go. But if you really need to go and you don't want to drink alcohol, you know, try to look for pre-bottled drinks that are difficult to tamper with. Don't go for the punch bowl. Just be safe, be smart. This is common sense, I believe, that you should be able to learn if you're going to college. This will be taught to you, by the way. But yeah, just be smart about everything. Are there people who got into CSB without any business ECs? You know, I'm not sure, because I do have business ECs, but they're not like they're not traditional. Like it's not a traditional EC, I guess, for business. So I literally started my own business. So you know, I didn't do any DECA or any of that. So it's a business EC, but it's not a traditional EC. So at least I can guarantee you, if you're an entrepreneur, that's definitely cool. But I don't think you'd have a very good chance at CSB if you didn't have any business ECs. Or at least you'd have to be a very good CS person, and you have to somehow show your ability to, you know, be a business person in order to be admitted to CSB. And CSB they are looking for people who have very good CS credentials, because, you know, you can become a businessman by going to business school, but usually in terms of the competitiveness of computer science, they do want some prior experience in people who enroll in the CS major. The next question is, are students who are auto-admit get priority over non-auto-admits, or is it solely based on who has a better AI and PAI? Okay, so first off, there is that rule that 75% of you know, of admits need to be at least 75% need to be auto admit. So in that sense, I think UT is a little bit more inclined to admit auto admits, you know, but not necessarily give them a major. So I'm not too sure. I don't know if there's a priority or not. There could be like an implied priority just based off of the proportion. So I'll just say there's definitely a proportion ratio, but I don't know if there's a priority per se. As if you've read the white paper, then you might have seen that it's not really discussing the auto admit situation there at all, so that kind of sucks. But I would assume it's based on purely AI and PAI where you fall on that grid, and then the staircase is created by analyzing what combinations would allow it to reach that 75% requirement as mandated by law. The next question is, can I rank the difficulty of engineering schools to get into? I'm not sure how to answer that question because I don't know what you mean by engineering schools. There's only one at UT. Do you mean engineering majors? If that's the case, I would start off with ECE being number one. Let me pull up a list. There's so many engineering majors, I'm not one, so I definitely need to consult a list first. But I can tell you for sure, like, which ones are a little easier versus harder to get into. Alright, so... Oh, okay, wait. Okay, so actually the hardest thing to get into is probably computational engineering. That's because it's the smallest major. It takes about 30 students every year, which makes it by far the smallest. Followed by that would be ECE, just because it does, I mean, so computational engineering does still have a lot of applicants, and then it's, you know, its admission rate is very low. But then ECE, I think has a little bit more applicants, but it has a much higher, you know, yield percentage, or not yield percentage, but like acceptance percentage. So yeah, that's number 2. Followed by that, let's see, I'd say next up would come chemical engineering, maybe aerospace and biomedical, and perhaps petroleum, maybe mechanical. I don't know. That's like kind of all a blur to me. I put them about the same place. And then you get everything else below that, which is like civil, architectural, etc. So clearly some majors are more desirable than others, and it doesn't mean one major is better than another major. It's just based on demand, right? Admitted, maybe we can fit you in aquatic science. Oh, haha. Wondering how BME falls in line. Yeah, it's like in the middle. I applied for computer/electrical. How effed am I? I should probably say screwed. How screwed are you? Well, it depends on your stats. I don't think if you're not comfortable sharing them here, I don't think you should. Send me a private message. I'll talk to you about that. Or use my my emissions chance calculator. But in general, you know, if your AI is high, your PAI is high, you're probably going to get in. Now, I do see a lot of people saying their second major. Just for the record, that usually doesn't make a difference. It's either going to be your first major, or they're going to reject you from UT completely. That really sucks, but yeah, that's just how it is. And the reason is because the second major, you know, it comes when they have enough space for people for that second major, and they weren't qualified enough for the first major, but they were qualified enough for the second major, and that's just very highly unlikely. It happens rarely. In that case, they will admit you to your second major, but you know, usually it's going to be your first choice major. No Mechie applicants. There's going to be a lot of Mechie applicants. Mechie is very popular, and so I'm a little worried for you in that case, to be honest. Non-auto got into EC depends on scores. Yeah, it does depend on scores, to be honest. I was also non-auto because I went to a non-ranking school, not because you know, not because of low grades, so that might change the situation there. But yeah, you know, I was really worried as a non-auto that I wouldn't get into UT because of that, and honestly it's not that big of an issue if you have good stats. If you're right outside the top 6%, I wouldn't be too worried, as long as you have good ECs, good SAT, ACT, etc. So yeah, do you have to pay extra for a double major? That's a really good question. So what happens is UT Austin has different tuition rates per the school you're enrolled in. So for instance, if you're in engineering, you pay more than natural science students do. And if you're double majoring within the same school, like both of your majors are within the same school, then you pay the same tuition as everyone else does. But if you're double majoring in two different schools, you're going to pay the tuition of the school that has the higher tuition cost. What's a good SAT for UT Engineering? Depends on which engineering major you're talking about. I'd say 1450 or above would be good. 1530 or above would be excellent. But you know, if you have a really high class rank and you don't have a very high SAT score, that also might be able to help you get into engineering or CS, or you know, any competitive major. I think there was someone who had like a 1200 SAT who got into CS because, I guess, of their passion. First off, wait, was it CS? No, it was ECE, because of their passion and because, you know, of their high class rank. So, you know, if you're kind of really biased and like really good in one end but kind of crappy on the other, it kind of still works in your favor. Average is 1420. Oh, too bad it's not 420. Anyway, just kidding. Just kidding. Let's see. Let's see. My friend was 1380 and 9 out of 575 and got into aerospace. Oh, congratulations. Yeah, that makes sense because 9 out of 575 is a really high class rank. And you know, it's not that good of an SAT score, no offense, but like, you know, it could be higher. But it's still pretty high. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she got in. And you know, for these competitive majors, they're also looking for your extracurriculars. So if your academic scores are not as good, you should definitely consider, you know, having better extracurriculars, getting that PAI up to a 5 or 6 if possible. And the way to get your PAI up to a 6 is to have like national level awards. So yeah, you definitely have to score up there in order to show that you're good enough for that. And so if you're getting a PAI of 6, then you're probably going to also be applying to Harvard and Yale and stuff. You'll have a good chance at the Ivy pluses. What's the formula for AI again? A guesstimate is on text admissions. Oh, I should warn you guys, very much so. I did request my my admissions file back, and my AI was a 3.7, but I calculated it with text admissions estimated AI formula, and it was very incorrect, very much incorrect. I'm not saying that Kevin's trying to deceive you guys, but you know, he hasn't worked for UT in many years. He doesn't know the formulas, so that formula is unfortunately now not going to be valid. Which is why I don't like my admission chances calculator is kind of rudimentary, and it spits out only a qualitative estimate. It doesn't really provide any quantitative data. So yeah, there's not really a way to calculate the AI. I'm trying to see if we can gather some data and you know, use some like multiple regression to see what the real AI formula is, but as of right now, there's not really a way of knowing. What stats did I have a 437? So the difficulty here is that I went to an unranked school, but yeah, I can tell you like what stats I got. So I had a perfect 36. So 36 reading, 36 math, 36 science, 36 English. And because I came from unranked school, UT had to give me a fake rank. So my fake rank was 97th percentile. And so if you'll see in the AI equations, the 97, like, you plug in a percentile for the AI. You don't plug in your actual class rank, because that wouldn't make any sense, right? So yeah. Yeah, so I see you guys freaking out right now. But don't worry, like, you know, yeah, I had a 36, so like I'm not too worried. Like, there's no 37, so there's not going to be any way that people are going to beat me in that regards, right? So just know that if it's low for me, it's probably going to be low for everyone else as well, and so it's not going to affect, you know, however it is. But I'm not too sure how you get a higher AI score. And also, you know, the AI equation still does depend by college. Like, there was someone in engineering who had a lower standardized test score and I think a lower class rank percentile than me, but they had a higher AI, and they are an engineering student. So there's definitely a discrepancy in AI scores depending on what kind of college you're, like, which college you're applying to. Let's see. Probably because the max is 1600 and top 1%. Yeah. I'm not too sure what you mean by that, but the point is top 3% is pretty close to top 1%, and I basically had a 1600, right? So that's 0.3 decimal places of difference. That's why everyone's freaking out. Now, I do have some weird, funky numbers in my admissions file, but I have no idea what they mean. So, you know, it's still kind of a mystery. UT Austin admissions does not provide like a lookup table for like what all the data values mean in my admissions file. So, you know, it's kind of going off just personal knowledge. how to get my file back? I filed a FERPA request with the Open Records office of UT, and you have to be a current student in order to get that back. So if you're admitted, you still can't get it back because you're not enrolled as a student. Let's see, I've been answering a lot of questions, so I have no idea where I'm driving right now, and that's probably not a good sign. Let me check. Alright, so it looks like I'm... Okay, I'm way past Paris. I'm almost... Oh no, I'm in Belgium. Oh, okay, almost in Germany, making my way up to Sweden. Cool. What are the actual differences between Turing and CS other than prestige? So the main differences I've noticed in Turing versus regular CS is that you get access, you know, to a smaller community of people who are pretty distinguished, and it's a good support community. You'll be taking classes with really smart people, and you know, and it's not just about the academics, but you know, you'll also get access to just everything that Turing does. In terms of academics, though, Turing scholars do take special honors classes that are basically reserved just for Turing students, and these are taught by the best faculty that UTCS has, and they do a really good job of teaching you. In terms of scholarships, though, Turing is, if I'll be honest, is not as rich as some other honors programs are. So scholarships, you know, are kind of awarded on a need basis, you know, plus a little bit of what do you call it? Obviously merit, but like everyone's kind of merited to, you know, at least be in Turing. So I think scholarships are mainly distributed based on need, and they're small amounts. They're not that big. But yeah. Why did I go to UT over some Ivy with those stats? Because I didn't get into any Ivies. That's why. On the same note, what's the difference between Turing and Deans for CS majors? Oh, that is a really good question. So, Turing Scholars is, you know, for just CS, and you might say like, oh, but you know, Turing is a research-oriented honors program, and I forgot to mention that. You're supposed to do a undergraduate thesis for Turing, but Deans is also a research-oriented honors program, and so I'll say, you know, I think Deans kind of lacks in the ability for you to take a computer science, like honors computer science classes, because Turing students are guaranteed seats in the honors classes, in the CS honors classes, but Dean scholars are not. And so what some Dean scholars who are majoring in CS will have to do is they either have to petition to enter the honors courses, or they have to take the regular courses. So overall, you know, if you're trying to specialize in computer science, it's probably a better idea to take the Turing route. But you know, Dean's is still an excellent choice. But Dean's, you know, is more about research across the CNS disciplines, and so there are people who are, you know, double Turing and Dean's scholars, and I think they'll probably just do like another major as well. Like they'll do CS for Turing, and then they'll do some other major in CNS for Dean's. Alright, we have a question about Texas A&M Mech-E honors or UT Mech-E non-honors. Which is a better job outlook? Which is better overall? So I don't think there are way too many honors programs here at UT Austin that give like unique job opportunities that other non-honors students don't get. Like, you'll basically get what the school, like UT in general, has to offer you for your major. You know, I'm not too sure. I'm not familiar with A&M, but it would depend. A&M engineering is very, very good, and so is UT's. I'd say UT is a little bit better than A&M's, but not by much. A&M's is still very, very good. And the kind of job offers you're going to get are probably going to be either similar, probably going to be similar at both schools. But you know, I'd say look into the A&M Mechie Honors program and see like what's in there. I know this is a little unrelated, but I have heard of people who got into the Business Honors program at A&M, but instead decided to do non-honors business at UT Austin. Some other factors I'd like you to think about are, your student life. Because UT and A&M academically, they're pretty similar, with UT only being a little bit over the edge. But in terms of where they are, it's a huge difference. A&M is in the middle of nowhere, whereas UT Austin is in the middle of Austin. So definitely think about where you probably might fit in better. All right, next question. Can you share your stats when you transferred in? I didn't transfer into UT. I applied as a freshman. So I can share my stats, but but it would be for freshman admissions. Our BHP releases coming out at a slower rate compared to last year. I've only heard about a few acceptances all on the same day. Ooh, I don't know. I haven't really heard of anything from the BHP office. I mean, it sounds like you're from like one of those schools that have high yields to BHP, so I'm honestly not too sure about what the overall trend is. It might just be that it's going a little slow for your school, but I really don't know. Let's see. Is there still any chance of getting a BHP interview? It's around January 13th or 14th. Oh, if I'll be honest, I don't think your chances at this point are going to be very good. You might get an email soon, but it'd be like one of the last emails sent out. It's not very likely right now to get a BHP interview. What's the best way to find out which professor to choose? Oh, very good. So you know that professors are not created, not all classes are created equal, and not all sections of a class are created equal. Right. So if you want to choose the best professor, you'll look at what I'll do is look them up on Rate My Professors. And that's a website. In case you don't know about Rate My Professors, it's a website that allows people to review their professors and give them like a rating. And that lets people kind of decide, oh, is this like the professor I should take with or not? And then another thing you should do is to look at the professors' grade distributions on UT Catalyst. So if you look up UT Catalyst grade distributions, you should be able to find that website. Like, it should be the first result. And what grade distributions are, they're essentially historical data of how many people receive a certain grade in that class. So for instance, you can have like 50 people receive an A, 25 receive a B, 12 receive a C, and then another 12 receive an F or something like that. And so that'd be pretty good grade distribution, because 50% of people get A's. but if it's like a flat distribution, like equal amounts of people get A's, B's, C's, D's, and F's, it's probably not a really good class to take. So, you might want to be on the lookout for that. But, overall, yeah, try to get professors, who have good grade distributions, because, you always want the highest grade, and good rate my professor reviews. One last resource that you could use that I don't typically often use, but, it's at your disposal, is the course instructor survey results. So every semester, at the end of the semester, students are asked to fill out a course instructor survey to rate how their instructor did in teaching the class, like the effectiveness of teaching the class. And that's officially done by by UT. So it's administered by UT Austin, and it's available on the UT website. You should just look up UT ECIS. ECIS, E as in elephant, C as in cat, I as in igloo, S as in snake. Kevin, I believe from Tech Submissions, said that it's possible all decisions could be out by February 1st. What do you think about this? Do you think this will happen? I'm not sure. Clearly, Kevin knows something that I don't. And last year, I will say that they were really behind on decisions. But they did change management, so that could happen. It may be very well the case that might happen, but I'm not sure. And it seems like the wave system has kind of been thrown out the window, because the last wave was released on a Thursday, not a Friday, and it wasn't the third Friday of the month or even close to it, so we don't know. Either way, I wish you best of luck. But yeah. Is there a big difference in opportunities offered by A&M BHP versus regular McCombs? My mom really wants me to do A&M honors over regular McCombs, but I don't know. I'm not too familiar with Mays, which is A&M's business school, but what I will say is McCombs is really good for public school. Like, I'm legitimately surprised at what you can do at McCombs. It's really professional, and I think it's at the level of some, if not most. Okay, it's at the level of most private business schools that are like really good. And so, unless you're like going to an Ivy, I think it's much better to go to McCombs for business, because they teach you everything you need to know to be a business person, and the networking opportunities are really good. They train you basically to become a really good business person, and so you won't really have any trouble with that. But how it compares to A&M, to be honest, I'm not sure. But I don't know if you were listening to this or not, but I did say that someone chose regular McCombs over A&M's business honors program, and I don't really know how they're doing right now in regular McCombs, but to me that says that I think McCombs, even without being in the Canfield, McCombs' Canfield Business Honors program, even without being in that, you're still gonna have a lot of opportunities in McCombs, and I don't feel like Business Honors is giving me like secret, Business Honors only kind of like jobs or network. Like, okay, fine, there are some like exclusive networking opportunities, but like nothing too significant to the point where it's just ungodly, unethical to like give us all the best networking opportunities. I think it's pretty balanced and even, so I think it's pretty fair. You're not gonna have any trouble. You're not gonna run into any trouble with that. And what else should I say? Part of my rambling, because I'm still trying to drive in this game, But basically, I think all of McCombs in general is very impressive, and you should seriously consider it over even A&M's honors program. Is January 31st all the rejections and February 1st all the acceptances? Depends on how UT Austin decides to do it. I'm not sure, but I don't know where you heard that from, unless you're just making it up, but that doesn't seem very likely, to be honest, because then you kind of can tell who got accepted and who got rejected, and I don't think UT's gonna play games like that. So yeah. How many people are from the Indian subcontinent or of that heritage? You're not gonna worry. I don't think you're gonna have to worry about being like a minority or anything like that. UT Austin does have a lot of people who are of East Asian or South Asian heritage. So the question is, I'm really interested in case competition. So do BHP students get more access to activities like that compared to regular? Ooh, I don't think so. I mean, BHP students, I think they just, compete in the McCombs case competitions, and, they do well because they're top students. But I don't think there's any BHP specific case competitions. So as I said, you wouldn't be missing too much by not being in McCombs' Canfield Business Honors program. And yeah, we do have case competitions every semester. We have a career fair every semester, and so if you want to look for internships or a job, etc., the career services at McCombs is really, really good. It's almost a little bit too good. So yeah, the only thing they won't be able to help you do is to land you a job without an interview, because that's not going to happen anywhere. But yeah. Have I heard anything about intramural tennis? And would you be able to play that your freshman year while in ECE? Yeah, for sure. Like, you don't have to be like a sophomore or anything to do intramural. In fact, intramural teams are usually, oh wait, no, sorry, that's for another school. Sorry. Intramural teams can be done by any year. I know my friends who are freshmen right now, they formed their own intramural team, and they did pretty well. So you should definitely do that. Look into that. Find some friends to form a team, or join like an existing team if the people on there you like, and you share passions and stuff like that. But yeah, intramural teams are really fun. The only thing I think is the fees are a little high, but if you're fine with that, go form your own. Or if you want, you can join another intramural team and have fun like that. How easy is it to get a dorm in San Jacinto? Okay, so if you paid your $50 deposit for housing before December, I'd say you have a shot at San Jacinto. You'd have to at least pay it by like October or early November if you want to like get your own room. Because what happens is people will first pick their room and not want to room with anyone, but eventually they're gonna get paired with someone, right? So there's going to be a lot of like single spaces open in San Jac if you're like at the tail end of that. And so the way that UT housing selection works is that you actually get to select your own room, the precise room that you want to be in. And if not, you get randomly paired, and I don't recommend doing that because they're probably going to stick you in one of the dorms that no one else wanted, like Creekside. Or worse, you might get stuck in supplemental. That's really not where you want to be. But yeah, UT... let's see, if you want to get in San Jac, it's the most popular dorm by far. So yeah, just be sure to have your housing deposit in before December, and if that's not the case, it might be a little too late. Or what we can do is have a friend who submitted it early and pair up with them, and they'll be able to select it for you. The people who pay their $50 housing deposit first get to choose their rooms first, and this selection period is spread out over like a week or two. And so your access date depends on how early you pay it. It's first come, first serve. Let's see. What's the hardest course you've taken at McCombs? Any courses that you really liked? So I'm currently a freshman at McCombs, so unfortunately I don't have too much experience on that. But I will say that all the courses, from what I've heard from upperclassmen, at BHP, they're pretty difficult, especially like MIS 301H, which is like Intro to IT Management. And although it might seem like it's some mundane course, I've heard that it's really challenging, and it really stretches your mind, and it's a good course to take. Let's see. So actually, I guess I should say that this past semester I took a class called BA 101, and it's basically the career planning course for McCombs, like professional development and career planning. And so someone like a career counselor from Career Services teaches the course. In our case, it's our BHP career counselor and or career advisor, and she's really wonderful. She knows like all these alums from BHP, and she's really good at connecting people. She has a saying called your network, or your net worth. Sorry, I can't speak today. Your network is your net worth. I think I really resonate with that statement as a McCombs student. So yeah, and also it was a nice course. I know some people thought it was like boring, but like, you know, that's what happens when it's like with every single course. You might think it's boring, but you know, the things that they were teaching in there, I think they're really valuable to like how you should, you know, behave in finding a job and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely. I think a lot of courses at McCombs are really good, and that's no exception. Those are a lot of questions. Let me go one by one. Which dorm am I in currently? I'm currently in Andrews in the quad. Which is the best dorm? What are the connotations, stereotypes, pros, cons of all the housing options? Plus, which floor do you recommend? That's a lot of questions, to be honest. I really don't know how to. Oof. I don't know what to say on behalf, like, for that, because this might be like a 15-minute answer, but I'll just give you the brief rundown. So the best course, or not the best course, the best housing option would be San Jacinto, San Jac. And as I've already said, if you didn't apply by if you didn't pay your $50 deposit by December, it's probably not going to look good for you on finding a spot in San Jac. Followed by that, it would be Durham. And Durham is basically as nice as San Jac. It's actually the newest dorm on campus, and it's where I work right now. And it's private baths, just like San Jacinto, but it's really costly, and it's also kind of far away from campus, so it's not as well liked as San Jac, but personally I don't think it's that bad of a walk. I've gotten used to it. And so yeah, those are probably the two nicest dorms. Then there's Jester, which is, I think basically it's been recently renovated. It's not new, and it looks like a large prison complex on the outside, but don't let that fool you. It's actually a pretty nice dorm, but the rooms are just small. Most of the rooms have community bath, which might be a turn off for people, but you know, some of the rooms have connecting bath, and honestly it's not too bad. I think Jester is pretty good. It's just big. There's a lot of people. And with those, you know, with Jester and stuff, you might want to live on the lower floors, because if the elevator goes out, which doesn't happen often, but like, you know, let's say if there's a fire drill, you're gonna have to climb down all those floors down to the very bottom if you're living like at the top floor, because you can't use elevators if there's a fire. Yeah, I think people tend to live like on on the middle floors, or not the middle floors, like the floors closest to first floor for Jester and everything, and other dorms as well. And then stereotypes for each dorm. Sanjak and Jern are really nice. Jester is, it's kind of like the, you know, the all-purpose dorm. Like, there's just a lot of people in Jester, so I don't know how to describe it really. It's just a lot of people. But it's close to everything, because like a lot of dining facilities and stuff are in Jester, so it's really good. Then there's like the honors quad, which is, yeah, you might think it's snobby, but you know, whatever. It's where honors students live, and some non-honors students also live there. But yeah, the honors quad is pretty quaint, it's pretty quiet, it's antique, and it's nice to be in. I think since I live in the honors quad, I think it's nice to be in. But most bathrooms are community baths, so if you don't like that, you know, might want to consider another dorm. But the honors community is pretty good in there, so if you definitely want to hang out with your friends, you know, definitely consider the honors quad if you're in the honors programs. Other than that, you know, I think a hidden gem is Moore Hill. That's what I've heard everyone likes for some reason. I don't know why. What else? And I don't know if there's any females in here, but I'm just not going to say any of them right now because I don't know if there's any females in here. I need to get on with some other questions, right? Let's see. Now there's like Brackenridge, Roberts, and Prather Halls. Those are like next to Jester, and like they're sandwiched between Jester and San Jacinto. They're pretty old, but I don't know. Some people like them, I guess. It's up to you. If I'm not forgetting anything else, lastly there's Creekside, and it's the closest to the engineering buildings. It's the only remaining male-only dorm, but it's like considered the crappiest. I've heard rumors from previous residents that it smelled like weed. I don't know why, but you know, that might be different now. I think it is different now because every year there's different people, so it's kind of a luck of the draw to see who you're placed with and how rambunctious they can be. So I've heard, you know, actually, yeah, Creekside, unless you want to be like an engineer and you want to live there, and you don't want to walk to your engineering classes from Jester, unless you really want to be close to your engineering classes, don't be in Creekside, is basically the consensus. In general, how crappy the dorms are, let's see. I heard there are huge shower areas that 8 people have to share, which is kind of ew. Oh, I've never heard of that. When I was in Jester West for orientation, we didn't even have that. That might have been the case before, but that's definitely not the case anymore. I think that might be the case in Greg, but even so, like, no, that's definitely not the case in the community baths. Yeah, that's just not right. So that doesn't happen. All of the showers, if they're in a community bath, are going to be, how do I say it? They're going to be separated, divided by walls, and they not only have like a set of like doors to lock with, but also curtains, shower curtains. So you shouldn't be worried about people like invading your privacy. I felt very safe showering in there. And yeah. Okay, next question. I should probably pull over. A little too late for that, but you know, it's okay. Oops. Whoa. What am I doing? How do you know when there will be a wave on a certain date? You get an email. By that point, it's a little too late. The emails always come after you're able to check your. They come up like several hours after your decision is updated on My Status. So you just have to keep checking. There are rumors of waves. They'll send. The admissions office will send. Whatchamacallit? They will send like high school counselors emails about when the next wave is, but it'll be like on the day of, so we don't really have any way of foretelling like when the wave will be. It just kind of has to happen. We try to use previous years as trends to foretell when a wave might be for the next year, but it's not really always accurate. So especially like this year, it's not accurate. If you pay December 7th, am I at a disadvantage? So if you pay December 7th, you're not going to have any issues with getting a contract. So you'll get a room somewhere, but it probably won't be San Jacinto, if that's your worry. Let's see. Is there any real benefit to staying in an honors dorm? The only reason why you'd want to stay in the honors dorm is for the community. Like it's not like the newest dorm. It's actually a really old dorm, but it's like nice and antique in a good way, not like in a old like crusty way, you know. Yeah, I think the dorms are pretty nice, but the real benefit is just that a lot of your fellow honors, you know, classmates will be in the honors dorm as well. And so if you're going to make friends from your honors program, which you most likely will, because as I said, you know, most of your friends will come from your class, then I do think that you should stay in the honors dorm, especially if you want to study together, because I see people like trying to swipe into the honors dorms all the time, swiping their friends in to study with them, but it's kind of a pain. Why not just live together in the same dorm and study together, because it's very convenient to do so, right? Alrighty, next question. Oh, sorry. To conclude my answer, I think you should stay in an honors dorm if you value making friends with honors students. And I think the whole point of staying in a dorm for freshman year is to make friends. Yes, it's convenient to classes, like it's a convenient distance to classes, but West Campus is also pretty convenient too. So overall, the only benefit to staying in a dorm is that you get to make friends in them, you get to study in them. So yeah. Okay, so definitely go do the honors dorms if you want to make friends with honors students. Question, just got admitted to McCombs. Pretty excited, but is the cutthroat snake stereotype true? Yeah, I'll just put this bluntly. For some students, you do see people who are cutthroat snakes, and it's very obvious that they act like that. I'm personally not that way, hopefully, but I really don't think I'm that way. You know, I'm all about people who don't backstab each other and stuff like that. But you know, you get to make friends with who you want. There are a lot of good people in McCombs. Maybe not as many as you'd hope for, but at least they're people with decency and with respect for each other. And no one's forcing you to make friends with people who are snakes. And you don't have to hang out with them in student orgs like that if you don't want to. So I wouldn't not come to McCombs just because there's that snake culture. That's gonna exist in any business school. But I think overall McCombs is a solid choice, and if you want to stay away from quote unquote snakes, then it's still possible to do that. Do I have any info about the Callaway House? My friends applied for it. Yeah, so the Callaway House is in West Campus, and it's known as the nicest, like, off-campus dorm. And I say dorm instead of apartment because it's not an apartment. You share a room with people still in Callaway, but it's really bougie. You know, the amenities are very nice, and the rooms are nice, and so I don't know. If you're concerned about it being bad, don't worry. It's not bad. It's really good. It's just really expensive and off-campus. But if you're fine with that, I think it's a good choice. Oh yeah, and also has its own dining hall, so you know you should definitely take advantage of that. All right, I'm going to be an incoming freshman at McCombs, and I'm wondering how your workload was at McCombs, and if it would be possible to give a general overview of your first semester. So I'm a BHP student, and that makes things a little different from a first semester general McCombs student, because general McCombs students usually take MIS 301 their first semester, and then BA 101 their second semester, but it's going to be in reverse for BHP students. So I took BA 101 this past semester, and it's a pretty chill class. As I said, you know, it's a good class to take. You learn a lot about networking and stuff like that. So all in all, definitely recommend it. Might be boring, but you know, you still need to learn business the right way, in my opinion. So yeah, it teaches you good stuff. But my workload this semester was mainly oriented on the Turing stuff I do, because I'm both in Turing Scholars and Business Honors, right? So no, I don't think it's okay, I don't think it was like that bad, but it was pretty tough for me as a Turing student. For BHP, I've heard it's still pretty tough. For General McCombs, then, I'd say it's a little less tougher than that. But you know, it's not gonna be easy. So McCombs is pretty rigorous, and I think if you're ready for your rigorous education, then you know, go for it. But yeah, I've heard the MIS classes, or MIS 301 classes, the intro, you know, freshman fall business class is still pretty tough, and you know, I just recommend trying your best in it. All McCombs classes are graded on, or are curved to I think a 3.3 GPA. So so yeah, be sure to do well, and you'll be curved to a better grade. Do you know of many people that were outside the top 6% of their high school class, and if so, how far outside? So last year for us, it was top 7%, and I came from an unranked school, and so a lot of people applied outside of the. Well, I mean, everyone wasn't auto-admit, right? But people who I knew from my past school, which was a ranking school, and who were outside the top 6%, they generally did get into UT, but they were still within the top 10%. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think everyone from my old high school who went to UT was in their top 10% for sure. Alright, next question. What would you say is an average CS student profile? SAT, rank, ECs. Also, does your calculator consider CS in the CNS group? First off, yeah, it does consider CNS, or CS in the CNS group. I didn't make the distinction between liberal arts, natural sciences, engineering, and business. That's done by the admissions office, and so I think the reason why they kind of view CS a little differently is just because, you know, yes, your AI and PAI is going to be calculated around the same rate, but at the same way the other CNS majors are calculated. But whoa, this car is really stupid. they're calculated the same way, but you know, the applicant pool is going to be a lot more competitive for CS, and as a result the cutoffs are going to be a little bit higher than regular CNS for CS. Let's see. So, but then to return to the first part of your question, what's an average CS profile? So it's hard to say what an average CS profile is because there's like a lot of different kinds of CS students. But I'd say the average CS student has a 1450 SAT. They are top 6% in their class. Maybe top 10%, but more to top 6%. And then for ECs, you're going to have some prior programming experience. So, you know, just taking AP Computer Science is not necessarily enough. You'll also want to have done some, you know, CS competitions, maybe like UIL, or have like an internship in CS, or, you know, more importantly, I guess, make your own CS projects. Show what you've done by coding, and see if it has any results. And you know, even if you have good ranks, good ECs, good SAT scores, I have heard of people who, you know, they looked on paper to be really qualified for CS, but then they're rejected for some reason, and that's unfortunate, but it might be due to underlying causes. So, you know, make sure your essay is good, make sure your ECs are actually good, and the way you can tell that they're actually good is, like, you know, they should probably be unique. I would recommend doing something unique and meaningful over something that's not unique. You know, it's the norm, and it's kind of, you know, just something that everyone kind of does. Like UIL, like everyone does that. It doesn't mean you're good at UIL, right? So putting UIL there on your extracurriculars isn't going to say much about you, except that you at least kind of care about CS. You could be the worst UIL competitor and put it on your ECs. And that's me. I was never that good at UIL for CS, but, you know, I still did it. So yeah. But what really got me in was like my, you know, my more unique extracurriculars. And, you know, if you do well in competitive programming, you should definitely put that on, and that definitely is a boon to your application. But, you know, if you're just doing like, oh, I was a member of the CS club, well, okay, so was like 50% of the other applicants too, right? So you want to make yourself stand out in a good way. Next question. Would you recommend skipping freshman Calc 1 and 2 at UT, since I took it with dual credit? I'm a Macomb student, by the way. Yep. I mean, if you already have credit for it, I don't see why you want to retake it. I will impart some advice right now, though, for everyone. If in college you ever see a class like, ooh, this is more challenging, I want to, you know, I want to retake this class, be careful. Usually the answer is you shouldn't do that. If you see like an honors version of class, why would you take it and impart more stress upon yourself? I've told people that at the beginning of the semester, like, that's okay, I'm up for the challenge. At the end of the semester, they're like, no, I was not up for the challenge. I so regret doing this. So, you know, UT's calculus classes are not easy, and if you've taken them elsewhere before, I recommend just brushing up on it a little, unless you're like a calc whiz and really want to retake the class again, in which case I can't relate, but if you want to do that, go ahead. But yeah, no, you don't have to retake the class if you don't want to, and I don't suggest it, especially for Macombs. It's not that important. Alright, how many seats do you reckon are available for the CS major? There should be like 500 students a year for CS, so I think there'll be like 1,000 students admitted, maybe, assuming 50% yield. Yeah. I don't know how much the yield is for CS though, but I'm assuming it's around that. So I'd say 1,000 students could be admitted, somewhere around there. Let's see. How much is the BHP interview weighted in final decisions? It's very important because at the time they offer you your BHP interview, they've already reviewed your entire file, including your expanded resume. And so that's some really important stuff, right? And when they offer you the interview, they're offering it so they can get more information on you, see what your responses are to those interviews, and I think they're looking for your performance on the interview to confirm whether they really want you for BHP or not. So I think it's very important, especially because they've already reviewed the rest of your file before they offer you the interview. I'd say it's either the most important factor or the sole factor in the second stage of the interview, in the application decision process. Alright, cool. Let's see. Next question. What's the easiest / hardest school at UT to get into? Why are you guys asking these questions? I thought you already applied. If you're trying to come into UT, you definitely shouldn't try to apply for the easiest or hardest. But I would say the easiest is liberal arts, and the hardest is engineering. Now, that's not to say that liberal arts is easy and everyone in there is like trash. Definitely not that case. I think a lot of people, oops, where am I supposed to go? This way? Okay. All UT students are like really smart. So I would definitely want to make any judgment based on how easy college is to get into, and then apply that onto their students. Okay, so after being given an interview, if you don't get an acceptance from BHP, does it mean you probably got denied? Okay, so I mean, first off, they will deny you, like, they will send out denials at the end once they've accepted everyone they want. But I think you might be jumping the gun a little here and thinking, oh, I had my interview yesterday or like a week ago and they still haven't gotten back to me. I'm denied. No, it's not like that. It took me 3 weeks for my decision to get back as an acceptance. So yeah, I would say be patient. Don't worry about it. Unless it's been like, if you had your interview in like early December, then probably it would be a denial. Alright, next question. Best student orgs that are business and finance focused. So the question is, what's the best org that's business focused? Or let me see if I can ixnay that. 249. Nope. Okay. So I think USIT, the University Securities Investment or Undergraduate Securities Investment Team, would probably be your best bet for a finance major, especially if you're trying to get into, stock market, investment banking, etc. All right. I checked College Confidential today, and apparently there haven't been any BHP acceptances since early December or even late November IIRC. Okay. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but then oh, okay. Actually, that might be a good point. Okay, so recently BHP has changed its admissions process. No, it hasn't changed its admissions process, but like it's changed the staff behind it. because the BHP director was, oops, why am I going that way? The former BHP director, at least for when I was admitted, was replaced with a new director, and with that came a staff change. So now I believe the BHP missions are handled by somebody else, and so that might be changing. That basically changes the decision rendering timeline, I guess. And so that might be why you're getting a delayed decision. But to be honest, I'm not too sure what's up with the BHP. I wouldn't be worried right now, though. BHP typically finalizes its decisions in February, so right now is not too late. You should get a pop filter for your mic. Yeah, well, this mic's from 2006, so sorry. But I'm thinking I should get a new mic, but you know, we'll see about that. You know if there's any good research opportunities for engineering or BME? So, if you're looking at doing research at UT, then you know you should definitely check with the professors. I'm sure there's good research opportunities at UT. And the way to join someone's lab to do research with them is just to email the professor. Tell them your credentials, why you're interested in working with them, and do some research on the professor themselves and what the work they've done to kind of, you know, show your relevance of joining their lab. But that's how you do research. I don't think there's any other things about it. Best study places on campus. Depends on what major you are, to be honest, because as a CS major and a business major, it does change the, you know, locations I have to study in. So for instance, the business majors have the NRG Productivity Center, which is like a quiet study area, study room. It's really big. It occupies like a fifth of the whole floor in the McCombs building. And yeah, you basically just get to study in there, and there's like cubicles and stuff. You just sit down. It's completely quiet, and I know a lot of people who just go there and get a lot of work done. Otherwise, you know, there are study places in your dorm. I usually just stay in those places to study. It could be a room, but your room's like not that good, right? There are quiet floors on the Perry Castaneda Library, the PCL, and that's the main library where students study in. But other libraries include the main library, you know, the main building's natural science library, architecture library, which is really pretty, and there's like a few other libraries that are like major specific. Let's see. But overall, like the study places that you have on campus, they depend on your major and basically what buildings you like to study in. But yeah, there's a lot of study places that are kept secrets for very good reasons, and people don't like to tell you where they study because then you'll steal their spots. So it's up to you to find out. And also consider like off-campus studying places, like, you know, coffee shops. There's so many 24/7 coffee shops in Austin, it's insane. Yeah, just look around. You know, try to find study spaces in the building for your major. So like for instance, ECE majors might find a study space in the EER building. It's definitely a good idea. Alrighty, how hard is it to pick up a minor or second major in a different school? Okay, so the difficulty for a minor is very different from the difficulty for a major. It's pretty easy to pick up minors usually. Just either you apply or you just go in the system and be like, I want to be this major, and it'll instantly make you that, sorry, not major. For most minors, you either apply and then you basically get accepted into the minor, or you go in the system and say, I want to be this minor, and you just automatically become the minor. Let's see, there's also certificates, and I strongly encourage you to apply for a certificate, even like basically if the minor is not available for some reason. Let's see, how am I supposed to get out of here? Oh, I guess I can get out from here then. So, yeah, minors and certificates are usually pretty easy to do. Some schools, some degrees require you to have a minor. Others, allow you to have one minor at most, but it just depends on what your major is, so find out about that. And minors are appended to your majors, your degree, right? So just be sure you're aware of that. Now, if you want a double major at UT, no one starts off as a double major unless you're in 2 honors programs, and those 2 honors programs allow you to major in 2 different things at the same time. What most people usually do to apply for a double major is at the end of freshman year, you will apply to internally transfer to the school or to the major that you want to add your double major in, right? And instead of transferring, though, you'll say you'll want to add this major as a second major. And so, your request will be, your application will be considered based on your GPA, not like high school factors, but just, how well you're doing in college. If you've taken any prereq courses for adding that major, etc. So for instance, if you're a business major and you're trying to add computer science as a major, then okay, first off, that wouldn't be really possible. I'll explain later why, but you'd want to take like intro to CS class, and you'll want to get an A in it in order to prove your worthiness of being in the CS major. Now, some majors are easier to transfer into than others. For instance, if you want to do a liberal arts major, actually you don't really even need to apply as an internal transfer. Most of them are open. So I know my friend, he's a CS major and he wanted to do philosophy, so he just went into the Philosophy Advising Center and said, hey, I want to be a philosophy major. They looked at his credentials and were like, oh yeah, you're taking a philosophy class right now, we don't see any problem with it, we'll add you next semester. And that was that. But for other majors like engineering or CS, the process is very different. For CS, they usually don't accept people who want to add it as a double major. They'll only take people who are willing to drop their current major and switch to CS. But that's like one case, right? So there are many other cases, and I can't explain all of them, but usually, yeah, that's the process to add a second major at UT. It's pretty complicated, and honestly, it's not one of the finer moments of UT, but with a big school, with, colleges operating relatively autonomously, that's just how it is. Is 6th Street somewhere you want to visit? I mean, you can't really do much there because they will ID you. So, in case you don't know, 6th Street is where all the bars are. So, wouldn't recommend going there unless you're 21 or over. And I cannot provide any advice on how to drink illegally, because that's not something we do here at this wholesome Q&A. So yeah, okay. What do you know about Jester East? I mean, I have a friend who's in there. I think it's good. There's no problems with being in Jester East. Yeah, it's a pretty good dorm. I think it's considered a little quieter than Jester West, whereas Jester West tends to be like full of people who like to, you know, party, have fun, get loud, etc. But, you know, not sure if that's really true. But it's a solid choice. For bio majors, is it still possible to have time for activities such as the gym and other things, or is the notion that bio majors have no life true? I mean, I think bio majors have some life. It depends on how busy you make yourself. Like if you know, if you're studying a lot because you force yourself to study, then yeah, if you spend all your time studying, which is not very likely, then you might be a little bit busy. But if you make a routine for certain things in your life, then it won't be an issue to, you know, go to the gym or anything like that. You know, I think the key to going to the gym and everything like that is setting a routine to make sure that you do it no matter what. That way you don't get carried away with classes, and you can study. You'll always have time to study if you set enough time out for that, but like, be sure to stick to a routine. Don't sacrifice your health. And grades are not always everything. You know, I understand if you're trying to be pre-med, but like still, don't harm yourself by doing it. Is there any explorable haunted places in the area? I'm not sure about that. I heard Littlefield House is haunted, but that's about it. And it's not really explorable. If you want to explore it, that could get you, you know, you might be trespassing, so be careful. Alright, I'm gonna be ending this Q&A pretty soon since it's getting late, but I'll answer a few more questions, and then it's and then it'll be yeah, we'll head to bed. Life advice. I don't really have any general life advice except for the stuff I rant about. But you know, UT's a pretty fun school to be in, and to be honest, I'm really glad I'm at UT. Let's see. Yeah, I just really think that your college experience is up to you, how you want to spend it. You can balance it however you'd like. You know, you can pass all your classes barely with a C and have a ton of fun, or you can bury yourself in books and get A's, or you can do somewhere in between. It's up to you. So, you know, everyone only has 24 hours per day, a certain time to complete the semester. So use your time wisely. Think about how you want to spend it, and you can try it out, different things, see how they work for you. Alright. Is there any advice on handling stress? I mean, that's a pretty broad question. I mean, it's a good question, but UT students tend to get stressed out a lot because of the rigor of academics, especially people I know. So if you're feeling stressed out about something, you know, try to focus and just do something else, or you know, try to calm down, divert your attention somewhere else, get it off your mind, and yeah, you know, try to practice some stress relief techniques. If you're feeling, you know, really stressed, you can go to the counseling and mental health what's it called again? Counseling and Mental Health Center. Sorry, it's not the Health and Wellness Center. It's the Counseling and Mental Health Center. You know, they can help you out there. and the consultations are free. So if you need something like that, if it's getting serious, you know, talk with them. There's like a mind and body lab in the certain student services building, which is pretty cool. You should Google that to find out what it's about. But basically, it kind of helps you with de-stressing. But yeah, overall, you know, try not to get too stressed. It's gonna happen, but the key is how to handle it. How do you wake up on your own if you and your roommate are both lazy and sleep in? Alarms. If you don't have alarms, I mean, everyone has alarms, but if they don't work for you, then try to keep your window open at least, and don't sign up for classes that are too early in the morning. Oh yeah, life advice, don't sign up for 8 a.m.s. They're the worst. You're going to have a really hard time waking up for them, especially if you study late. So try to take... So try to take, you know, 9 a.m. classes or later. But yeah, one sec. sorry for my long absence. I'm gonna finish answering these questions on the stream. Sorry, I had to deal with an urgent situation. Alright, so if someone's trying to get a job in IB or consulting, are they at disadvantage if their normal becomes rather than BHP? The only disadvantage is that they're not in BHP, but I think if their skills are more, you know, better than a BHP candidate, then I think, and if their connections are better, then I don't think that'd be a disadvantage. Do I recommend evening classes if I'm nocturnal? I haven't really done any evening classes, but they're kind of painful. You can try doing that if you have a really big nocturnal schedule, but I guess there's not too many though in UT. When you sign up for classes, okay, when do you sign up for classes? During orientation? Yes. Waking up a roommate. Oh, I recommend opening your blinds up so that you can let the sunlight soak in. How do you wake up to an alarm without waking up your roommate? Yeah, you can do headphones, but if you don't have that, if you don't have the option, then you're gonna have to wake up your roommate. Unless you like put your phone under your pillow and have it vibrate, but that might give radiation. Alright, that's it for tonight. Thanks for joining in. If you have any further questions, just ask me privately then. If there's a fan in the dorm / climate control, yeah, all dorm rooms, well, what they're aiming to do is have all dorm rooms controlled individually, so you'll be able to control the temperature in them. And that's the last question, so have a good night.